Hi there. Nate Urandi, Orion Training Systems. It's been a while. Sorry for that. Just haven't really had any motivation or inspiration to do a blog post or a video lately. But first off, a little personal note. Olo Alaya, our favorite place for coffee in Nosara, Costa Rica, where we're building our home. It's coming along nicely. Should be done in September, October. Um, so if you ever want to visit there, give me a call. In any case, I was at a conference this week, and on my way home was in the Las Vegas airport, and I was reminded about the um, decline of humanity's health and well-being. The I was saddened by the amount of um, discomfort and obesity and just general dis-ease and maladies that I saw in the public as I walked around there, whether it was smoking and drinking at the earliest hours of the morning, or just the way people had to shift and walk, and you could tell they were in pain and out of alignment and just not in a good state of being. And what I came to understand is that um, we're in a really serious downward trajectory as a species. I did a little bit of research, and it's certainly not comprehensive. But back in the 80s, when I was an adolescent, the um, uh, obesity rates were in the single digits here in the States and even across the world. Since the 1980s, the obesity rate has more than tripled in adults as well as in children. And here in the States, more than one third of our population is considered obese. And around the world, 30% is considered obese. They're saying over 2 billion people on this planet. That's just staggering. That's astounding. And the rate of diabetes, excuse me, adult onset diabetes here in the States can be as high as 15%, depending on which state you look at. So think about that. 1 in 6 people, adult onset diabetes, or I should say 1 in 6 adults. So what's constituted as being obese? I've read several statistics. There isn't really a good one. They talk about body mass index being at least 30, and a BMI of 30 roughly translates to being 30 pounds overweight. The problem with that is, how big is the individual to begin with? If you're petite, if you're, say a 5 foot tall woman, and you weigh 90 or 100 pounds, if you will, putting on 30 pounds is a huge impact to your structure. But if you're a 250-pound, ex-football player who's 6'5", or 6'4", whatever, 30 pounds, yeah, you'll look different, you'll be bigger, but the impact to your structure is nowhere near as much as a petite person. So I don't really like that sort of measurement, but what I've seen in the past is if your percent body fat is, I think it's above like 35%. So basically, if 1/3 of your overall, overall composition is pure fat, you're obese. But I couldn't find a definitive uh, 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 number, if you will, to lock onto. So what do we do with this? To me, it starts with a sense of self-respect. And that's not to say everybody who's obese doesn't have any self-respect. But if you don't respect yourself, then you're not going to hold yourself accountable for your actions, especially those that are extremely deleterious to your well-being. And if a person doesn't have any self-respect, if a person doesn't want to affect change, it doesn't matter how much others may want to help that person change. I'm seeing it in my own parents right now. They're getting well on into their golden years, and it's been a downward slide in health, which has led to a downward slide in their mental capacities. It's not the other way around. The body drives the mind. You keep the body in tune, that's going to keep the brain engaged and focused and sharp. But once you stop, it doesn't matter if you're 10, 15, 20, or if you're 60, 70, or 80. Once you stop moving purposefully, you start dying at different levels of your body. So as I think about this, and I think back to the 1980s again when I was growing up, there were no video games compared to today. There were only 3 or 4 TV channels. We used to be outside playing all day, well beyond dark. Even though I was in a sport already, I still got together with my friends and just had a bunch of fun with them. So the sedentary lifestyle has overtaken the way people exist on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis. And that's doing society a huge disservice. So I challenge you, whether it's for your own sense of self or others you may know, to try and affect positive change. Put down your phone, turn off the TV, do things that are more organic, whether it's movement or whether it's reading a book where you're actually cracking a spine as opposed to reading an article, the online version of an article. And I'm not saying go subscribe to newspapers here, there, and everywhere, but what I'm getting at is get back in touch with the way it was decades ago as much as you can. There was value there. There was obviously a more healthy outlook on life back then, because you really had no choice. You didn't have the luxuries. You didn't have the sedentary options for consumption. I won't say there were more thoughtful choices being made, because there was McDonald's and Burger King and all of those options back then too, but people are just goddamn lazy. And it's sad. And I don't know what else to say, but the stats are staggering, and humanity is in for some big wake-up calls here in the States and across the world if things don't change. So I'll leave you with that hopefully thought-provoking rant. Hopefully you can take this and affect some positive change, whether it's with yourself, a family member, or a friend. And as always, leave your comments below, and happy training.